You might think of Kia as a budget brand, but the new Sportage might change your mind. This is a nice rig, folks. Americans love their compact crossovers. It's the most competitive segment these days. Ford Escapes and Honda CR-Vs are everywhere. Toyota's RAV4 is the most popular passenger vehicle sold in America. With the 5th generation Sportage, Kia wants a larger slice of that pie, though historically it's no slouch, selling nearly 2 million copies since going on sale in 1993. Gen 5 doesn't just look different, it has a whole new bag of tricks. Sportage has always been a big deal for Kia. Now it's even bigger. Literally over 7 inches longer, a half an inch wider and taller. The wheelbase has been stretched about 3 inches for more interior space. This sets it apart from Seltos. It's now based on the same architecture as the 3-row Sorento.
The 5th generation Sportage is transitioned from one of the smallest in the segment to one of the largest in the segment.
I'm attending an event in Palm Springs, California. Clearly, Sportage has more aggressive styling now. Kia's new design language, called Opposites United, is described in the press material as smooth, soft surfaces offset by rugged, sheer forms. It's svelte and chunky, a much more forceful look than the bulbous Generation 4. There's the brand's tiger nose motif just below Kia's swoopy new logo. The matte paint is lovely, but must be hand-washed. Apparently, buyers sign an agreement that they understand this. Also, I like that the wiper is hidden away. Nice touch. For now, Sportage sports 2 powertrains, a standard gas 4-cylinder model that we're driving in X-Pro models, and in the mid-level EX all-wheel drive model that I'm driving on the highway, a turbocharged 4 hybrid. The hybrid can be had as a front driver in some models too. A plug-in hybrid version is coming soon for those looking to dip their toes into the EV lifestyle.
It takes the anxiety out of EV range anxiety with a more robust 261 horsepower turbocharged powertrain and an estimated 32 miles of all-electric range.
First up is the hybrid, which is the more powerful of the two. It's 1.6-liter turbo 4 and a 44-kilowatt electric motor combined for a total of 227 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. The transmission is a 6-speed, not a CVT, and it gets paddle shifters. Unlike the RAV4 hybrid, the rear wheels are not driven by electric motors. Both Sportage engines use an all-wheel drive system with electric hydraulic coupling. There's a center locking differential and drive modes. Of course, there are drive modes. Notice that the cluster look changes with different gauges. Not only does the hybrid have more horsepower, it's got electric motors that deliver a lot of torque off the line. So it is faster and it feels faster. I'll guesstimate 0 to 60 in just over 7 seconds. So yeah, you pull away with the electric motor, the gas engine feathers in very nicely. It's slightly rubbery, but it certainly doesn't feel like a continuously variable transmission. Shifts are silky smooth, you might not even notice them. These are the gas prices in California, so while the hybrid powertrain adds $1,300 to the price tag, the EPA fuel economy average is 38 mpg with all-wheel drive. It's 25 mpg for the gas-only model. So the hybrid is significantly more efficient than the gas-only model. The only problem is you can't get the hybrid in the more off-road capable models like X-Line and X-Pro. So you're gonna have to make a choice. Nearly all miles on all vehicles are on roads like this, not trails. I'll be the voice of reason. And on the tarmac, this setup doesn't disappoint. The recommended speed limit through all of these curves is about 35-40 miles an hour. I'm taking it at 55 or 60 without any issues at all. Sportage does have a bit of a sporty edge. The steering weight is nice. There's a little bit of road feel, not gobs and gobs, but the ride quality is comfortable. It's not overly harsh. It's what mainstream buyers want. The 18-inch wheels on this EX model absorb bumps quite nicely, and visibility is quite good, even rearward. Sometimes the transition from regenerative braking to the actual physical disc brakes is kind of on the lumpy side when it comes to hybrids and EVs. Sportage's is actually pretty good, nice and smooth. You won't really feel that switch over. Let's check out the interior. I was driving an all-wheel drive EX Hybrid model. This cabin belongs to the top trim SX Prestige Hybrid that stickers for $37,400. Both are nicely executed. I consider the ambiance in here best in class, or at least tied with Hyundai Tucson. Door releases have a hefty hardware look and feel. There are the usual door pulls in the armrests and these extra nubs for less of a reach. All but the lowest LX version have this dual 12-inch display setup fused to look like one. Cows will be happy that Kia has made this a leather-free zone. There's this synthetic stuff or cloth. Here, the chairs are heated, vented, comfortable, and supportive. Top trim models get a very useful camera system to help keep the Sportage dent-free. It's similar to the kind in luxury vehicles. Like EV6, this control panel switches between the HVAC and interface shortcuts. That means this knob toggles between the driver's temperature and the sound system volume. I'm not a fan. The user interface is quite easy to navigate with a straightforward layout and excellent response. Good graphics, too. Yes, there's a wireless charge pad. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are standard, but only some Sportages allow you to use those two wirelessly. This one needs a cord. The 8-speaker Harman Kardon system sounds terrific, bass is tight and accurate, never boomy. Time for some fun. Kia has brought us to a remote area to try the capability of X-Pro models. There's also an X-Line. Just know that X-Pro wears BF Goodrich all-terrain rubber, and the drive modes are tuned for rugged duty. X-Line and X-Pro are strictly all-wheel drive. They get a different interior treatment too, with synthetic wood to go with the synthetic leather. So if you're really going to go off-road, you might consider the X-Pro because it has more capable off-road tires, and we all know that tires are really important. Plus, it has extra ground clearance, about 1.5 inches, so this is more capable. Both X-Line and X-Pro are powered exclusively by a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter inline four-cylinder that puts out 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Cog swaps are done with an 8-speed automatic, a lever, not a dial, and manual shifts are done here. There are no steering wheel paddles. So our first test is a hill ascent, and about halfway up, I'm going to stop. The hill holder keeps Sportage in place. And starting back up, no wheel spin whatsoever. Modern electronics are amazing. The tires help too. So we're at kind of an angle here. It's handling it just fine. And here's a spot where it looks like ground clearance is pretty important. Yeah, no problem. Ask yourself as I continue on, will you be driving on terrain like this? Really? Okay, this is really quite a downhill section. And I really don't think anybody's going to take their Sportage on anything like this, but wow, that really handles it very nicely. FYI, I drove the X-Pro on-road for a bit and was pleasantly surprised that there wasn't more road noise coming off the all-terrain treads. The stretch we're on right now is like a typical dirt road, and the suspension soaks up the bumps. This is pretty comfortable. Other capability, both powertrains can tow up to 2,000 pounds. The camera probably doesn't show how rugged this road is. You do need an off-road machine to get through it. This is the top trim X-Pro Prestige, and with destination, it'll set you back $38,000. That's a fair price for what you get. Kia is not the bargain basement brand it used to be. This exercise is showing how useful the cameras are. There's a whole bunch of different views. These work well. What did we do without cameras before? They're very, very helpful. Is this as capable as a Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk? No, probably not. But how many people really use that capability? This tackles some fairly tough stuff. You just know your needs. In everyday driving, this gas-only powertrain can be heard more distinctly pulling away from stoplights, and the transmission shifts are more prominent than the more powerful and refined hybrid system. Drive both so you're aware of the differences. Truth be told, the X-Pro is probably all the off-road machine that most people need. The only issue is it's not available with the hybrid powertrain, so it's not going to be as fuel efficient and it's not going to be as powerful. Let's get back to the practical stuff. The 3.3 inches added to the wheelbase give NBA prospects some hope here. Kia claims class-leading rear seat legroom of 41.3 inches. The seats recline, not much of a spine to mess with footroom. Both seats get pockets, the kids won't fight over those. There's no separate climate zone, adjustable vents will have to do. I like the bag hooks and the location of the power ports, no need to reach down to the floor. The seats don't slide fore and aft, but Sportage will take on 3 adults as long as they aren't too hefty. In back, choose between maximum hauling space and a little storage room to keep small things out of sight. And notice the spare? Most models get one. Kia claims class-leading rear cargo at nearly 40 cubic feet. I have no time to head to Costco for the usual TP trunk test. FYI, my camera bag is a little smaller than a carry-on suitcase. There are premium brand SUVs that lack these. Thanks, Kia. I'd like 40-20-40 splits for the seats, have to point that out. I do like that there's up to 74 cubic feet with the seats dropped, and it's not really any different between any of the models. All right, time to sum this up with red light, green light. Green light. The 5th generation Sportage is clearly roomier, more sophisticated, and is more useful for families now. The driving dynamics and comfort nail the mainstream dynamic that people want in this segment. The hybrid's fuel economy is excellent, it's the most refined of the 2 powertrains. X-Pro isn't just for show, it adds off-road worthiness if you need to get to the good hiking trails. Yellow lights, the hybrid's fuel economy is great, RAV4 and Escape hybrids are a skosh better. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are standard, but not wireless on top trim levels. There's lots of room for cargo. How about 40-20-40 split seats, Kia? Red light. I really wish the X-Pro model was available with the hybrid powertrain. I'm not crazy about the panel that switches between climate controls and interface shortcuts, but that's pretty much it. With 7 different models to choose from and eventually 3 powertrains, Sportage cuts a wide swath in the fiercely competitive compact crossover market. It includes CR-V, Escape, Equinox, Forester, RAV4, Rogue, Tiguan, and Tucson. It also brushes up next to premium offerings from Audi, Cadillac, and Lexus. Sportage has really grown up, and a lot of people think of Kia as a budget brand. The reality is, it hasn't been that in a long time. It's mainstream now, and this is actually a little bit upscale, seriously. The name might be familiar, but Sportage is now a different machine, and one that should be on the test drive list. On these events, I do what I can, but time is limited. I'll point out that there are a lot of new active electronic safety technologies like automatic emergency braking, plus rear cross-path detection and braking. Many of these are standard. This is the press conference we all attended, and as you can see in the graphic, there are more of them as you walk up through the trim grades. These things are not very visual, and they're hard to demonstrate, without the potential of doing damage to a vehicle or someone getting hurt. I just wanted to let you know there's a lot of new safety tech. This is the end where I normally leave you guys with a fun fact, and I'm going to try. I might get blown away, though. It's incredibly windy out here. Sportage has always been very important to Kia. Now, It's arguable that this is its most important vehicle because for the last 2 months that this 5th generation has been out, it's been Kia's best-selling vehicle, and it can only get better once they have the plug-in hybrid. I'll try to get to that once I can get my hands on one. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and click notifications. Follow me on Twitter. I'm very, very active there. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments, okay? All right. Hope you can hear me with all of this wind. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.